From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. And I am not alone making his return to the show. Here he is at the news desk. Bill Murphy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Matt. How are you?
Very good, very good. Wonderful to see you again.
Good to be here.
Yes, yes. I do want to, before we get into things too, I want to say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat. We've got Jenny in there. Hello, as well as Wayne Noel. John Midas Manning, also known as DJ Midas, host of Late Night Delight, which you can hear every Saturday and Sunday night beginning at 12 midnight here on the WMNH. Hello to Dr. Jeff Cassell, who joins us. Jenny and I had a nice time with him the other night. We had some dinner, and it was he made us a wonderful dinner. I very much enjoyed the mushroom soup, and we had a great time. Always nice to see Jeff. Hello to Amy Hazard King, who joins us, who says, good afternoon, Matt. Wayne says, hi, Jenny. Oh, yeah, you too, Matt. And hello to Rhonda Favero, also in the Facebook live chat. And the number to call, if you'd like to interact with us today, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also send a text to 617-917-4476. You can tweet me at Matt Connarton, or you can email matt@ipmnation.com. Bill and I were just talking a moment ago about, I've had this bronchitis, which I think I'm at the tail end of it now, but you can kind of hear it in my voice a little bit. But so welcome back, Bill.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate being here.
Been a while. And of course, you had brought to my attention the Don't Punish Pain rally.
Yes.
Which is coming up October 16th at City Hall Plaza in Boston, correct?
Yes, actually I have some updated news on that. So
excellent.
Yeah, it's this one's been a bit confusing organizing this, and as I mentioned to you in the email I sent you, there was some legislation. It actually still is being proposed in Massachusetts. It's gone to committee, and what I'm told is that the several doctors have reached out to the state rep who proposed that bill, and it looks like he's backing off of that.
Oh, that's good.
And so it's pretty much going to die in committee, is what we're told.
Good.
So with that, and also with a lot of feedback from folks in New Hampshire, in the New Hampshire group, being disappointed that the location was changed, and now they struggle to make it to Concord anyway, just given their health.
Yeah.
And so making it to Boston was really going to be a stretch for a lot of folks.
Right, no doubt.
So we've put it back out to the New Hampshire group, suggesting that if we can get some good feedback on numbers in terms of folks that could attend, that we're just looking to do the right thing. We'll change the location back to Concord, if that makes sense. If not, we'll keep it in Boston.
Yeah.
But given that legislation is pretty much gone now, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
To the extent that it was, I'm thinking that going forward with the Concord rally is really what we should do. So yeah, it'll be more local.
Yeah, no, that would be phenomenal. Jenny and I, we would like to attend. Ideally, if it is going to be in Boston, that's a little tough for us logistically because I have to make sure I'm back here in plenty of time to be here for the show. But Concord, of course, that's not a problem at all. So yeah, if that pans out,
that'd be great to have you guys. I mean, if you can't, obviously it's understood that people have a lot going on, but we're hoping to get some numbers and make an impression up there again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you had pointed out to me in an email, and then I tried to reiterate it on the show. It is important that anybody who can be there, please come, because this affects so many people for whom it's very difficult to travel. The people who are the most severely affected by this, it's hard for them to actually be there. So it is so important to have those numbers to really make that impression.
Yeah, absolutely. For that very reason, we encourage people to invite friends, family, just anyone, even their physicians. We believe we'll have quite a few physicians this year who are primary care physicians for these patients.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only way we're ever going to get numbers that will be significant enough to make a big impression up there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's very difficult getting a point across to legislators when they're walking by and seeing 10 folks standing off to the side.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
when you get right down to it, it's all politics.
Mm-hmm.
And even if, deep down inside they agree with your issue, with what you're promoting, if it's not going to help them get elected in the next term, I mean, that's a huge influence on them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, the numbers are important. And if we can get as many, referred to as healthy people to attend, that would be great.
Yeah. So Rhonda in the Facebook live chat says, hey, Bill, Larry and I are doing our 5th Don't Punish Pain rally in Sacramento, California on October 16th at the medical board. Oh, very good.
Great.
So,
yeah, Rhonda and her husband have been unbelievable advocates for patients. Rhonda's a patient herself.
okay.
She's an amazing person. I haven't met her personally. It's all through Facebook and through the Don't Punish Pain rally Facebook group.
Yeah.
But you communicate with people so often, you get the feeling that you know them.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
to be honest, just watching your show live on Facebook so often, I walk in here and I just know who you are. It feels like I know you, and
Yeah.
I've only met you twice. So,
Yeah.
but Rhonda's an amazing person, and it's it can get frustrating when you advocate for a lot of people, and they often explain that I wish I could do that, but my pain is such that, or my finances are such that it's just difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as I say, it's frustrating to hear that sometimes, because then you see people like Rhonda, who's in as bad a situation as most folks are.
Yeah.
And she's there all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. There are
of
realities
course.
for some people. It's just not going to happen. So for anyone else who can dig down deep and make it there, even if it's just for a portion of the 2 hours, any time helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There was that, who was it? We talked about it last time too. The woman who was testifying in front of a congressional committee, and she was on a cot.
Yes.
Because she like, it was painful for her to sit up. So
Right.
she actually was there. She's on a cot or a lawn chair or something, so she could be stretched out, because
Right.
she had no other way to do that.
Yes. Cindy Steinberg, she was the pain patient representative on the group that testified before the Health and Human Services Organization, or that board.
Okay.
It was actually a committee that was looking at pain treatment and
Oh, okay.
how the issues of today, the issues going forward. And as I mentioned the last time I was here, she was somewhat outnumbered.
Yeah.
There were physicians there who were sympathetic to pain patients. There were others who were not so sympathetic. So yeah, she literally would testify and then step away and have to lay down for a while.
Yeah.
And then come back and testify. And there were people, people can be cruel.
Mm-hmm.
There were people who thought that she did that was all a ploy on her part to try to
really?
promote, the cause or get sympathy just because of her,
Oh, wow.
what she was trying to portray as her situation. I mean, she's legit a pain patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so it's amazing how cruel people can be sometimes, but
Yeah.
Cindy's a great advocate.
Yeah. So now you, what have you been doing? Like, since we talked last, and I have a very limited concept of time these days, which I reference on the show, but, how long ago was it that you were on before? Was it 3 months or 6 months?
It's got to be at least 3 months, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we had a rally coming up at the time, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think
no,
so. Yeah.
no.
So I think it was about 3 months, maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
I know it was following, I believe, Red Lawhorn's last appearance or
Okay.
last call-in.
Right.
And, my hope was to just talk, maybe bring, Red looks at it from a national level, the larger issues. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so my hope was to bring it down to a New Hampshire level, talk specifics about New Hampshire, which I'm not sure I did a great job of that. But
No, I think you did, but we can go over some of that again. Absolutely.
yeah, well, it's interesting when I called in. I'm trying to remember his name. His last name is Finney.
Brandon Finney.
Brandon Finney.
When
There you
Brandon
go,
was on,
yes.
yeah.
But you know what? He asked a great question, which it never even occurred to me. It reminded me that I kind of glossed over a lot of the the details or the the things that patients go through on a day-to-day basis that I guess I just I assume that people know about this, but how can they?
Sure.
So he was asking about, I think I mentioned in a response to him that pain patients do sign contracts with their treating physicians.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what they're required to do, in addition to a whole bunch of things, are they have to state the pharmacy that they'll go to all the time.
Yeah.
They have to submit to random drug tests, urine drug tests. They submit to random pill counts. So you can be called at any time, and it'll state the time you have to be in their office. So you get
Wow.
30 minutes, for example, to get from your home to the office.
Wow.
And then have your bottle of pills with you, and they count them. And
wow.
so I mean, there's so many controls around patients who are prescribed opioid pain medications today that have been in place for a few years now.
Yeah.
That didn't exist back in the day when people talk about overprescribing happened, and
Yeah. But it sounds like they treat you almost like a criminal with,
Yeah.
It sounds like parole. You know?
But it is tough. To be honest with you, I don't take much issue with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I literally have been seeing my physician monthly for over 15 years. He and I know each other so well.
Yeah.
So, and I understand what's going on today relative to this issue. So
Sure.
for me to agree to do those things, I don't see that as a big issue. But sure, and especially for patients newly being introduced to this, to be asked to read this contract and sign, saying you'll to all these stipulations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes you feel like you've done something wrong.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
When for the most part, these patients, I mean, I ended up in this situation through surgery gone bad. No fault of my own. And,
Right.
Most folks end up in those situations through no fault of their own. They haven't done anything. They've been in a car accident.
Right.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, look at Jenny, for example. I mean, she didn't do anything to deserve what she's experiencing today. And
Right.
so when you're made to feel like you've done something wrong, it can be pretty, you get this visceral reaction to that,
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. Rhonda makes the comment in the Facebook live chat. She says treated more like criminals. So she doesn't like it, obviously, but yeah, like you said, I mean, you because you have an understanding of the issue, you can kind of roll with it. And
yeah. And I suppose, it's like anything else from person to person, people
Yeah.
deal with things differently. And,
yeah.
I'm kind of more along the lines of, believing that compromise is not such a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to hear about, in politics where they'll compromise a bill to death before it gets passed. And then, what it ended up being is a shell of its former self.
Right. Right.
And so that can be frustrating.
Yeah.
But for me personally, anyway, to agree to these stipulations, I don't have a big issue with it. But I
Yeah.
understand folks that do absolutely understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. And what is there anything that's happened specifically legislatively in New Hampshire or since we last talked? Or
Yeah, well, one thing that happened is Jenny and I ended up speaking. I was reaching out to you, and she responded. And she, obviously being a former state rep herself, she was already in contact with a state senator.
yes.
I won't mention any names or anything because I'm not sure. I haven't asked for the right to do that.
Okay.
And I'm not sure where they are in the process. I'm not sure if that would confuse things.
Okay. Sure.
But yes, I mean, the state senator was already looking to go forward with some sort of legislation. Jenny had already provided him with some information. She reached out to me, asked if I had information. So I'm part of what's called the New Hampshire Pain Collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
It's several patient advocates. It's a couple of folks who lead support groups for pain patients, and it's a leading pain management physician in New Hampshire.
Okay.
And so we got together and started taking the New Hampshire opioid prescribing rule and modifying that to hopefully the end result would be to eliminate any specification of morphine milligram equivalents, which is the big issue today.
Yeah.
That the CDC put out. We could talk about that a bit more.
Yeah.
So we hope to do that, and then we also provided both Jenny and the state senator with language for the new bill. My understanding from him is that the deadline for submission of new language is October 16th.
Okay.
The date of the rally, oddly enough.
Oh, okay.
But I believe he has everything he needs now. So then I guess from what my understanding of the process is, it's called a legislative service request.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which so I've learned a lot just in the weeks that, since I've been involved in that.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
So I guess that goes forward and the bill writers get a hold of it and they research existing law, and it's supposed to be legislation that will end up going before, I believe, the state Senate in January.
Okay.
So we have big hopes for that.
Yes.
The state senator involved has been very, very active in reaching out to me and making sure that, really, you could tell he's behind this.
Yeah, yeah.
Reaching out to me, letting me know, hey, listen, I need this by this date, and so on. So
good.
It's been great, because I'd rather have someone who's after me rather than me having to go after them.
Exactly,
trying to pull them into it.
Oh, no doubt.
So it's been awesome.
No doubt. Well, we'll talk more. We'll take a quick break. I usually wait and I take a break at the top of the hour. I don't usually take a mid-hour break, but I got to get some more water because I'm trying to get over this bronchitis. So I'm taking it a little easy on my throat. So really my chest, because it's chest congestion, but it affects my throat. So we'll take a little break. We'll play something and we'll be right back. We're talking with Bill Murphy, pain advocate, and we learn a lot from Bill, and this is a very, very important issue. So please stick with us. More Unleashed coming up. We're talking here with pain advocate Bill Murphy, who's with us. Our number is 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can text at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connarton or shoot an email to matt@ipmnation.com. And of course, we get a lot of folks in the Facebook live chat. Bill Murphy joins us in the Facebook live chat. It's like you're in two places at once.
I didn't even realize I was doing that.
No, that's good. No, and because that way you can see what everyone's saying. And I see you in there very often during my show, so I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. So obviously we'll go over some of what we went over last time inevitably, but that's okay because we have a lot of new people and people who didn't hear the previous discussion. But kind of a broad question, Bill. But how did we get here? Where pain patients are being punished in this way because, like for example, I don't remember how much we talked about it, but my mother, just use my mom as an example. She broke her back in a terrible car accident, actually right on the Amoskeag Bridge, like 30 years ago now, and or maybe longer. And she, and she had been on for years and years. She'd been on a very low dose of methadone that was being prescribed to her, and it was, it was great. It allowed her to work a full-time job and to, and to be very active and productive and whatnot, and to have a full life. And then less than a year ago, I find out that, her doctor tells her one day, and she's in Wisconsin, by the way. Her doctor tells her one day, Lori, I can't prescribe this anymore. She's on medical cannabis now, but she really got the rug pulled out from her,
right, yep.
as happened with so many people. And she almost killed herself.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how much of this she wants me revealing. I don't think she minds. It's for the cause. But so she's doing better now, but she had to stop working.
Right.
She couldn't continue to work. And she's not an addict. She was just on a low dose of methadone to help her deal with the pain so she could walk around,
right.
and just function and whatnot. And so but how kind of walk us through how this happened. How did we get here?
Well, I think from my perspective, there's two things that happened that were key. First, I believe that if you go back 10 years ago, even 10 plus years ago, 10 years ago or so, addiction was, this is going to sound, I might offend some folks, but addiction was something that was predominantly an overdose. It was predominantly something that happened in minority neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods. And back in, so actually it's a little bit longer than that, with 2019. So I keep thinking, it's amazing how time has gone by.
Yeah.
But overdose is something that's and addiction and following overdose started happening more often in middle income and upper income neighborhoods to young white people, and it's amazing how when that starts to happen, and then moms of those kids. I know a mom personally who lost her son to overdose.
Yeah,
and I give her tons of credit. To her credit, rather than keep that quiet and try to hide how he passed, she went on a crusade. She's done so many great things for, folks suffering from addiction and the treatment of addiction and providing better addiction treatment facilities and so on. But from the elected officials' perspective, they started paying much more attention to the issue when it started affecting people from those neighborhoods.
Funny how that happens. Yes,
it's interesting. It really is, but it's the truth though.
It is.
You get right down to it.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
And then following that, there's a group out there called Physicians for Responsible Opioid Prescribing.
Okay,
they're against opioid prescribing completely, entirely. They want to rid the world of opioids.
Wow.
And they're led by a psychiatrist he used to teach, I'm not sure if he still does, at Brandeis University. So it's called PROP, P-R-O-P.
Okay.
And they were lobbying for restrictions on the prescribing of opioids. They actually went to the FDA and laid out information that supported their position, and they wanted to implement these limits on the number of milligrams physicians could prescribe to patients.
Yeah.
And that's where this morphine milligram equivalent thing came from.
Okay.
The FDA told them, this your position is quackery. It doesn't make any sense to do this, so go away.
Right.
They refused to deal with them. So this group went to the CDC, so the Center for Disease Control, and they went along with it and ended up producing guidelines, what they referred to as guidelines for opioid prescribing.
Yeah.
And they arbitrarily defined, so they took all of the different opioid pain medications and drew equivalencies to morphine milligrams. So that's where this morphine milligram equivalent came up.
Okay.
So they just decided that anything higher than 90 morphine milligrams per day was when people were getting into the danger zone of overdosing.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter that patients might have been on this medication for 10, 15 years, never abusing it, never, these contracts I mentioned earlier, never going against a contract, never filling a prescription early, never going more than one pharmacy, never calling the doctor ahead of time wanting to fill it early.
Right.
Never failing a pill account, never failing a drug test. Didn't matter that they were doing all of those things per contract. If they were on a higher dose of 90 morphine milligrams equivalents a day, they were to be tapered back to that. So I don't think it had a huge impact at the start, although they were forewarned by a lot of physicians who reviewed the guidelines before they came out. And they were told, if you look at it as written, it's not such a crazy thing to want. And it's just a guideline.
Yeah.
So it was never meant to be enforced as law.
Okay.
But a lot of physicians cautioned them that they believe that is what would happen, is treating physicians out across the states would take those guidelines as rule. And
I remember this being kind of a sticking point that they were. And do you think a lot of physicians? Hi to Ricky Litwinkowicz in the Facebook live chat, and he's someone who struggles with chronic pain. Do you think a lot of physicians, I mean, was it that they thought they misunderstood and they thought that these were rules and not guidelines? Or do you think maybe there was some paranoia where they just thought, well, maybe they're guidelines, but we better treat them like rules because if we don't, we might have, well, our careers destroyed or,
Right.
I mean, what was...
No, I think it's definitely the latter.
Yeah.
I think they, and it ended up happening. I think they were fearful that these guidelines would be rule.
Yeah.
And that were they to continue to prescribe greater than 90 milligrams a day, they would be called out and reprimanded for that. And sure enough, that's happening every day now. Mm-hmm. A pain management physician just the other day was sentenced to 40 years in prison. He's a young guy, has 4 children, another one on the way, and he's going away for 40 years. And what the DEA does, they literally raid a doctor's office with AR-15s.
Oh my God.
I mean, they gather them up. They separate the whole staff into different offices to interview them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as if they're raiding a drug den in downtown Manchester somewhere. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
It's great. It's over the top.
Well, yeah. Wow.
But there'll be instances where, for example, in this gentleman's case, he works for a pain management clinic. So that's all they do is treat pain patients.
Yeah.
So of course their prescribing numbers are going to be higher than other physicians.
Right.
So, but they're still called out for having high numbers. So this guy, for example, there are patients who, so this practice didn't use insurance. They didn't accept anyone's insurance.
Okay.
And there's a lot of pain management practices that do that. I'm sorry, my voice is going here, but
Yeah, no worries.
so they don't accept insurance. But what they do is they accept cash, and then they give the patient a refund form. They go back to their insurance company to get reimbursed.
Okay.
So now there's also, because so many pain management clinics have shut down because of this, patients are traveling hundreds of miles to go to this one practice to get their prescription.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes doctors will agree to meet patients at locations that it certainly raises an eyebrow. I mean, if you meet a patient at a Starbucks,
Right.
and they pay you cash and you give them a prescription, I mean, you talked the other day on the show about I forget the impression of impropriety.
The appearance of
The appearance of
impropriety.
impropriety.
Yeah.
So I mean, clearly there's an appearance there of but when you delve into it and understand what was going on,
Right.
there was really nothing wrong with the practice, but they don't explain that detail, especially when they go to court.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So here this poor guy he's going away for 40 years, and he's not the first guy. I mean, there's 3 physicians right now very heavily involved with the Don't Punish Pain Rally organization, all of whom have gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
All of whom have lost their medical licenses, and are now don't have a source of income. They can't practice as physicians anymore.
Right.
So I think, to get back to your earlier question, I think most physicians saw that coming and were afraid that that's what would happen.
You can't blame them.
And it happened.
Yeah.
It's happening every day.
By the way, the doctor who's going away for 40 years, what was he charged with?
He was charged with multiple counts of, I forget exactly how they worded it, but it's distribution of oxycodone.
Okay.
The charge makes it sound like he's the typical thing that comes to mind. The dealer standing on a street corner.
Right. Yeah.
It's just not the case at all.
No, of course not.
No.
And by the way, 40 years, even if he was the drug dealer on the corner.
Exactly.
40 years.
Exactly. It's a crazy, amount of time. And I mean, they're clearly holding these physicians up and trying to make an example of them.
That's exactly what I was saying. They're making an example of him.
And it's unfortunately it's working.
It's enraging.
Yep.
Oh, that poor man.
Yes, it's crazy. He's as I said, he has a new lawyer who's going to take his appeals up. People are providing him a lot of support with finances and so on.
Yeah.
But, it's crazy.
It's awful. That is awful. Wow.
And it's interesting because here in New Hampshire, the the opioid prescribing rule that exists, as documented by the medical board here, when you read it, it also is not taken word for word, is not overly restrictive.
Yeah.
I mean, it defines a process a physician can go through to prescribe higher than the 90, or it actually says 100 milligrams. So if you just look at the rule, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But again, it's physicians looking at the rule, knowing what's happened across the nation.
Right.
And understanding that they could be reprimanded, they could lose their license. So they're going to the extreme of tapering people down either to that number or even below, or just cutting them off completely.
Yeah.
So even though it doesn't look, if you look at the rule from that perspective, like we have a big problem in New Hampshire, we do. I wouldn't be advocating for so many patients if we didn't have an issue.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any idea, any numbers on how many people are affected by this, or is that a hard thing to pin down?
Yeah, it's a hard thing, but I mean, the numbers, I mean, just chronic pain patients, I believe the number that is usually used is 50 million people across the nation.
Wow.
But the number of people who are actively being treated with opioid pain medication is more around 20 million.
Yeah.
So hopefully someone will, maybe Rhonda or someone will comment if I'm wrong on that number. But I mean, it's affecting a lot of people for sure.
Yeah. Rhonda said, actually, she just used the phrase weaponization of the guidelines, which I think is a pretty accurate way of putting it. Jenny joins us as well. Hello.
Hey,
Hello,
I heard
Jenny.
you invoking my name.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
All in a good way.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So that number, I mean, those numbers are stunning. That many people can be affected and there not be more of a public outcry too, because it affects that number of people. Because this is, I mean, let's be honest, unfortunately, and it would be wonderful to change this, but this isn't, in terms of everyday political discourse, this isn't on anyone's top 5 or even top 10 list of issues that they're concerned about,
Right.
Because most people, if they're not a chronic pain sufferer or know someone, like I have 2 people in my life who I'm close to who suffer with this, Jenny and my mother. Where is this even really being discussed? Like, it's not going to be a debate question, for anybody. Are you going to do something to help these poor people who are suffering because the government came along and told all these doctors you can't, or strongly implied,
Well,
you can't prescribe these meds.
To be quite frank, it's being discussed in our graveyards. Every time we bury another pain patient who's died from a suicide or died from an illicit overdose because they got desperate enough to try something like that.
Yeah.
And that it's getting discussed at our family dinner tables where we're missing a member.
Right.
That's where it's getting discussed. It's not getting discussed in the halls of bureaucracy because those are run by the people with money in their pockets. And who's running that? The pharmaceutical companies. They want the message they want out there. The people that are making the money off of rehabilitations versus appropriate treatments, getting people in jail. We make more money off of incarcerating people than we do treating people. And there's so many different things that come into play here that make more money than a patient who's suffering and is at the end of their rope. Mm-hmm. We're collateral damage.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's interesting because if it ever does come up, it comes up from the perspective of the opioid crisis.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's all about addiction and overdose, and it's not about chronic pain patients or people suffering in pain.
Right.
And their treatment.
And what we really have going on out there is a heroin crisis.
Yeah, and even more so, actually in every state, but here in New Hampshire too, it's a illicit fentanyl crisis
Big
now
time.
because
Yep.
that's
Big
the
time.
drug now, and polypharmacy use.
Yeah.
I mean that's a big number in New Hampshire right now. The number of deaths from multiple substances being used.
Right. Yeah. So the term opioid crisis is in and of itself a misnomer.
Sure.
But it's become a very convenient one. That
It is, and it ends up putting people into a place where they feel ashamed I need to take a medication for X, so I'm ashamed. I need to hide it. I need to be there. The way we treat patients now is horrible. I mean, think about it. Okay, you've got I don't know, you've got cancer pain, non-terminal cancer pain. You're being treated for, and you've got to pee in a cup on command. You can get a phone call out of the blue that demands you show up at your doctor's office, even if it's 5 hours away, in that day to have your pills counted. You have to deal with going to a pharmacy with a prescription with a pharmacist who may not want to fill your prescription. We're treating patients so poorly now. We're driving people towards suicide. Never mind the lack of medications. Never mind the lack of access to treatment and care. I mean, we're driving people to the edge of absolutely the end. And I used to be somebody who would say suicide was selfish, but I get it. As somebody who has reflex sympathetic dystrophy, I get it. And I hate to say that, but I do understand somebody getting to the end of their rope. And that wouldn't happen so much if we had appropriate treatment and if we treated people like human beings instead of like drug addicts. Your pain patients are the ones that are most strict about their medications. They hide them. They're very particular about them. I mean, I personally, when I had to take pain medication in a pill form, I would ration them to myself. Oh, can I go another hour? Can I get another half an hour? Can I make it another hour? You try to push yourself.
Yeah.
You don't pop them left and right. You don't, sure as heck, don't sell them.
Right.
And you don't trade them because you need every one of those pills and you're rationing them out to yourself. That's how a pain patient works. That's how a real pain patient works. They're not the problem.
Right. Well, you made a good point there too about, you're not selling them, because that's one of the things they try to say, what if they sell them? But you're not selling them, like you said, because you need them. You need them. You're not selling them. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they do the same thing with cannabis patients.
Right.
Our government, thanks to our governor, who I've lost a lot of respect for, and I've lost some respect for some senators like Senator D'Alessandro. Where in the world are you? Who went against homegrown for patients. For patients.
Yeah.
3 lousy plants to be able to grow in your home, to be able to treat yourself, to put in your own food, to make your own medicine, and not have to go some store and walk out with a baggie. Not have to deal with pricing that is so ridiculously high. That you want to talk about rationing your medication? Talk to a cannabis patient who's got to spend, $500 to get medication on top of their copays, on top of their prescriptions. Somebody like me who has ketamine infusion treatments on top of $450 a month for infusion therapy because insurance gets to say, we don't have to pay for that.
Right.
This is reality. This is the reality of it.
Yeah.
And we don't talk enough about that. We talk in platitudes and we've got to be on top of Narcan. We've got to be on top of this or that. But in the meantime, people are suffering and dying every single day. And very few people are taking note of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a great discussion. This is absolutely the discussion I was hoping to have.
Good.
So I'm so glad you're here, Jenny, to do that, because it's absolutely correct. And this is what people need to understand is what patients are doing, how they're dealing with life every day, hour by hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just reiterate if I went on and on, but it's true. I mean, what patient, we're talking about people who are in severe pain all day long, and the pain medication, it doesn't take the pain away. It just kind of takes the edge off. It allows them to live with some more quality of life than they otherwise would have had.
Right.
Let me expand on that for a second before you go too far. We're talking about being able to take a shower.
Right.
Okay, be able to dry yourself off and get dressed. You have no idea how much stress that puts on the human body and the heart, and especially with somebody who's ill. I have gone in to take a shower and had to lay down in bed, wrapped in a towel, and wait it out to be able to dry myself completely off and get dressed because the shower wore me out. To be able to go to the fridge and make yourself a sandwich. We're talking about giving people the ability to do activities of daily living. Maybe they're still lucky enough to be able to be employed. Maybe they're trying to hang on to that job, and it's enough to get them through their workday. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about giving people the ability to go ski lift off a mountain somewhere or go parasailing. We're talking about just being able to live every single day and do basic things. Make yourself a meal or do laundry or wash yourself. I don't know how many times I've had to have been there crying while somebody else is washing my hair because I can't get my arm up to wash it. And I'm 48 years old, and that's not a feeling that you want to have. But I'll share that. But I just wanted to expand on that because I think people sometimes
absolutely.
don't understand when we say give you the ability to do something, it's literally the ability to live, just basically live day to day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are the details people need to understand. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what has happened that's well, you talked about the legislation earlier. I mean, are you also finding as you're talking to people about this, other people too, like outside of the political realm, but just other people who can help, or are you able to bring more people to the cause? Because like I said, it's not on anyone's top 10 list of issues necessarily. I mean, that's got to be a challenge to just get people to listen and to want to get involved.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And that's part of why the New Hampshire Pain Collaborative, when we defined our mission statement, the primary goal was to educate. And early on in the discussion, I was kind of like, educate, that doesn't sound strong enough to me. But when you get right down to it, that's really the goal, is to educate so that you can then take people from being educated now to making change.
Yeah.
So we're reaching out to pain support groups and then primarily their families. Because here's another issue. A lot of pain patients have struggled with getting their families support or understanding of what they're going through.
Okay.
A lot of family members look at their pain patient siblings or sons and daughters, wondering, is this truly a pain issue or do they have an addiction problem? Are they liking this too much?
Or are they lazy? They just don't want to work.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to clear the yard. It's just an excuse. I hear that from people and I want to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to cry.
Yeah.
And one point Jenny made was about pharmacies. So there's a lot of pharmacies, I've dealt with it right here in New Hampshire, who the pharmacist is put in the situation of, especially the larger chains, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, where the pharmacists themselves are refusing to fill the prescription.
Oh.
So either because their process is that they have to call the physician and just establish that this is a legit prescription,
Yeah.
or that they just don't believe the patient themselves.
Wow.
So there's a Dr. Feldman. He's one of the physicians I referred to earlier, who was taken to court. I believe he ended up agreeing to a plea deal just so he wouldn't end up in jail.
Oh my God.
In prison. So he's no longer able to treat patients, but he's still out there leading this cause.
Yeah.
He just hired lawyers, a lawyer group, to sue 5 states, the medical boards with 5 states,
Yeah.
because of their pharmacy practice. So rules put in place by the Board of Pharmacy, putting the pharmacist in the position of being the policeman, the watchdog over every patient's prescription.
Wow.
So there is a lawsuit coming. It's the first one to happen. No lawyer has been willing to step forward to date to either pursue something on behalf of patients or physicians. But now there is one. So this thing's going to happen very quickly too. We'll be hearing a lot about it.
And it's been happening a lot with women, higher rates of women being turned away.
Yeah.
And maybe that's stereotyping being done by the pharmacist. I don't know. But there was a case that I have never forgotten, and you might remember watching the video of a woman who has stage 4 cancer, and she went to get her pain medication prescribed, and the pharmacy she usually likes to go to did not have the prescription in stock.
Yeah.
They didn't have the med. How many times have you gone to a pharmacy? It's happened to most of us, or a family member. They didn't have the med in stock. So she went to a different pharmacy. Well, that pharmacist went, well, you usually go to this pharmacy instead of this pharmacy, so I think you're trying to be a drug seeker, and refused to fill the prescription. And this woman is literally losing her mind on camera crying. And can you understand? She's terminal. She's literally standing there in front of this man going, I have terminal cancer. What are you doing? And he's like, I think you're drug seeking. I think you're shopping. And I had an incident, and you're aware of it, where a doctor had pulled up the prescription list that the state of New Hampshire keeps on everybody. And I'm going to flat out say it. The guy was an idiot. He didn't realize that what he was looking at was a compounding cream that is actually put into like a lotion that is put topically on patients. Mm-hmm. And this man saw ketamine powder, gabapentin powder, and a number of other medications that are in this particular compound that you smear on you. Like, you don't eat this stuff. Trust me. Yeah. It's gross. And it's got all these different, it's got lidocaine in it. I mean, it's got all these different chemicals in it. Dude thought that they were legit. The pharmacy was like handing me powder. He literally thought the pharmacy was handing me powder. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
in the ER.
Yeah.
And, you're on this and you're on that and you're on this. And I'm like, I'm not on any of that. Where are you getting this from? It's on your pharmacy printout. Well, we found out later when we finally pushed the issue, because I had to push the issue with the hospital, and I did get an apology. I will say that. And I do believe that there was education done, and I hope it never happens to anybody else. But, it happened with me. So of course it can happen to anybody else, that some gooba with MD after their name doesn't know what they're looking at and thinks you're getting all of those drugs that are in like some topical cream. Right. It's really bizarre. And topicals are super popular among pain management, because for some patients, it works really well to put the medication at the site of pain.
Yeah.
So, it's got gabapentin and ketamine and lidocaine and all these other drugs in it, but it's in a freaking cream that they're rubbing on their skin, into their skin to get into, the nerves and all of that.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're sucking down their mouth, and you certainly can't get high off of it. I mean,
right.
I guess I suppose I shouldn't say that, because I don't know what would happen if you actually ate the cream.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you'd probably numb your tongue and bite it off before you swallowed all of it. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah.
But that actually happened with me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hello to Sarah McGregor Boggs in the Facebook live chat. Is there any, because we know doctors have been spooked by the guidelines and so forth and some of what's happened to them. And what about the pharmacies? Have there been guidelines issued to the pharmacies at any point? Like why are they so nervous? Like, we know why the doctors are, but why are the pharmacies so nervous? Or do we know?
No,
well, some of it is that there have been instances, not in New Hampshire that I'm aware of, but in other states where pharmacists have been held liable by government entities for distribution.
Oh, okay.
As if they were the ones to go to with an illicit prescription. So we live, unfortunately, our nation, the United States of America, is sue happy. And when you live in a sue happy world, everybody carries a number over their head of risk. And our pharmacists have become that scapegoat in some regards of distribution. Because of course they distribute them all. They're the pharmacist, but now they're being held to a level of scrutiny that they weren't normally held to before. They're being told they're liable for all prescriptions. So if somebody comes in with a really good forgery, the pharmacist can get in trouble with it.
Okay.
So that's wherein lies some of the problem.
Yeah.
Some of it, not all of it, but I know that some of it.
Yeah, and another big part of it is Medicare and Medicaid, for example. Their process is now that physicians, for example, with Granite State Pain Associates here in New Hampshire, they were told prior to January 1st of 2019 that for all of their patients receiving opioid pain medication greater than 90 morphine milligram equivalents, they needed to contact the physician, the prescribing physician, and have a conversation with that physician about the medication.
Yeah.
And, other meds that the patient is on. Are you aware this patient is taking this and this and this? And the interactions between the two. And so so in that case, they're literally putting the physician in the middle, telling them, you're the one that needs to police this. You're the one that has to go back to the physician. And what happens a lot of times, like in that case, Granite State Pain, of course, again, all the patients are pain patients.
Yeah.
So they put out a letter to all of their patients saying that
this process we won't do because it's just too cumbersome. We don't have the resources to call every physician for every prescription. So we're not going to do it. So all of you across the board, we're going to start tapering you back to get below, and they went below the 90 milligram guideline to 50 milligrams. So all because of workload and logistically trying to pull that off. They just felt they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So
it's maddening. Wow.
Yeah, there's so many aspects to this that it's crazy. And, when we're talking about legislation, I don't know if you're aware of it, Jenny, but I believe the bill was already passed. Either that or it's coming up soon. I'm not as familiar with this as you are, obviously. But one rep had proposed a bill, and again, I believe it was passed, where beginning January 1st, 2020, every prescription for opioid pain medication is going to require an orange label, or a round label on the bottle that says in big black letters, opioid. It can be removed, but only after the patient's left the pharmacy.
Okay.
Inserted into the package will be an orange leaflet that gives them a lot of information about opioids and, the addiction and all this stuff. But the concerns that were brought about with that is, here's a pain patient who's, and now this happened to me personally at leaving a pharmacy in Nashua. Pain patients leaving a pharmacy being targeted by people wanting the pain medications. Now they're going to be leaving with a bottle that has a big orange label on the top of it saying opioid.
Yeah.
And so there's a big concern about that. And I'm not sure if things will change or not, but
I think that was a specific state. I don't think that was national.
no, it's New Hampshire.
New Hampshire?
It's here, yep.
Really?
It's here.
Wow.
What dumb butt did that?
Yeah, I can get you the rep's
Hey, I got
name.
news for him. I'm visually impaired. That orange doesn't mean crap to me. All right, I got news for you. But that's insane. Let's put a target on the back. I mean, I can remember when I had to take medications like that, being terrified coming out of the pharmacy. Like, I don't want anybody to know what I got.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want anybody to know. Actually, before I left the house, I read a news article about some dude that robbed a pharmacy for pain meds and got laxatives instead.
I saw that.
Well, that's
I think
karma.
that's awesome,
Yeah.
and I hope that all of his sleazy friends took lots of it. But I mean, it is. We have to deal with the education part of it so much more. I mean, perfect example. What are we in right now? It's Pinktober. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. And the stupid world should not be pink, because every man out there who's had breast cancer is losing their head over that. And every man who heard me just say that, please hear it again. Men get breast cancer. 1 in 100,000 men will get breast cancer. That's education. Education in pain care. Cancer is not the worst pain that you can suffer. I'm sorry, It isn't. Nationally, internationally, there is a pain scale called the McGill Pain Scale, which every medical provider around the world uses as how you gauge pain. What diseases bring what kind of pain? Amputation's way the hell up there versus, having bronchitis is lower, or a sprained ankle is lower, a broken leg is higher, but not as high as an amputation. Non-terminal cancer is up there too, but it's not the worst. You know what is? RSD, the disease that I have, reflex sympathetic dystrophy. They nickname it the suicide disease because it's the most painful disease known to modern medicine. But how many of us know that? Nobody. I was in medicine for 20 years as a provider, and I didn't know that. I thought cancer was the worst pain. I thought women get breast cancer, men don't. And yeah, I was an idiot to think that, because here I am sitting here very much corrected. Men get breast cancer. There's worse pain in this world than cancer. And we do need to educate ourselves, each other, our loved ones, our family members on all of this, or we're never going to understand the true scope of what we're facing in the pain community. If we can't even understand what is pain, what is the worst pain, what is the lower pain, what is the higher pain. If we can't understand the concept of pain, we certainly can't understand the problems that people are facing who have it.
Rhonda in the Facebook live chat says they do it here too. I think referring to the orange labels. She's in California, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you said something happened. Like were you targeted?
To me, yes. The pharmacy that I still use, actually, I was leaving one night. It was about 7 o'clock at night. Winter time, so it was dark, and two guys out in the parking lot, about 4 cars away from me, as I walk into my car, and I had never walked out of there feeling like I was threatened or I should be careful, or it just never occurred to me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they one guy yelled over. I forget the details, but he was basically, at first they were just trying to get me to come talk to them.
Yeah.
And right away my alarm went up. He was like, something's odd about this, and so I didn't.
Yeah.
But sure enough, they ended up asking about, hey, what's in the bag? Come on. And they almost did it. If you were listening in, you might have thought they were joking.
Right.
Yeah, can we join in and have a little party and everything? But clearly they were up to something more than that.
Yeah.
So, that happened to me.
Wow.
Personally.
Jeez.
So when I hear stories like that, I don't doubt that happens.
Yeah.
You know? And I think putting an orange label, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just such a waste, because what are we going to get from that? I mean,
Higher prices on our medications.
Yeah, it's just, and to think that, I mean, there was something I read the other day, a mom who wrote a story, I think it was for the Pain News Network, and she explained that her son, from a prescription opioid he received when he was 19 years old, one prescription, became addicted, and years later died of an overdose. But she points back to that one prescription being the reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, how can you identify that? How do you know that that's the reason? So I don't know. I just always question when legislators want to do something relative to this issue.
Yeah.
Do they really understand what's going on and what might, really help, instead of just being something for votes?
Right. Right. Exactly.
My doctors don't know what's going on.
Right.
145 years of medical science, and they still don't know why people get this debilitating disease that gets progressively worse. They don't know. So you want to tell me how some bureaucrat who got elected, sitting in some dusty office somewhere, knows better than my doctor on how to take care of me? My doctors talk to other doctors who talk to other doctors to try and figure out how to take care of me, because what I have is so rare.
Yeah.
And this bureaucrat's going to know? Come on, people. Wake up. These jackbutts are going to they're going to kill us off. It's euthanasia by government control. Sorry, it is.
By the way, hello to Rocky Huber, who joins us online.
Tell me I'm wrong. Prove it.
Well, it's true.
No, and the other thing that's true, that what you just said, Jenny, is oftentimes a patient knows more about their disease, their illness, than their physician does. Sure, yeah. Because quite naturally, you go off and you research as much as you can.
Right.
And it's happened with me. I've brought information back to my physician that he's a general practitioner.
Yeah.
So for him to delve into every little thing to know is pretty much impossible. So, so a lot of it is patients educating their own physicians.
Yeah.
So
and physicians that are willing.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the big part of it too.
Yeah.
I have a GP at Concord Hospital. He's one of the teaching physicians at Concord Hospital. And he loves it when I bring him in. And I just brought him in not long ago, the entire Dutch protocol for RSD patients. But what you said, to speak to that, I'm a Dana-Farber patient, Dana-Farber cancer patient. I'm still on 6-month checks. I have 3 doctors I'm on 6-month checks with. And I am the only patient in my oncologist practice, and she's been practicing for at least 2 decades, who has tamoxifen retinopathy, which means I'm going blind from my breast cancer treatment. I'm the only patient she has with it. The only one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in her entire practice in Dana-Farber in Boston and all these years, she's never had anybody but me.
Wow.
Which stinks to be the only one. But to put it in perspective of how little doctors know, there are a lot of the doctors that I see that have to go back to my other doctors to learn, because they don't know about tamoxifen retinopathy. They don't know about reflex sympathetic dystrophy. They don't know how to deal with a nicked phrenic nerve. They don't know how to deal with these issues, and they have to get educated themselves. To speak exactly to what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting here as living proof. This is what happens in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm an anomaly to the point where you ever walk into an office, you're a medical anomaly when you walk in and they're calling their friends in. Hey, come check this one out.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you got to see this. It's like, can we let so-and-so see their training? Yeah, come on in, everybody, take a peek.
Yeah. Now, didn't the CDC at one point put something out acknowledging that they had goofed?
Yeah, it was a retraction, or they called it a clarification of the guidelines. They basically come out and said, we were serious when we said these are guidelines. These are just guidelines. We're not telling physicians that they must do this. We're telling them that this is a guideline, and if you're going to go around the guideline, here's the procedure for doing that. But it's at the state level where the guideline is being implemented to be more of a rule or law.
Yeah.
And in states where that's not happening, for example, in New Hampshire, physicians are still taking it as rule or law because of what's happening to other physicians out there.
Yeah.
Being arrested, being sent to prison.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Being sued.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, we do have the negative people out there that, John Q. Public, who thinks they can get a buck, ooh, I tripped, or ooh, I took one too many of these pills, so it's your fault.
Yeah.
I get to blame you so I can make money off of you, even though it was my own doing or my own fault, or it's not even real. But, those people muddy our waters. So when we're trying to get truth out there and educate people and help people who are in serious need, we get buried. We get buried under the muck and mire of the trash and the garbage that those people bring.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm being as blunt as I can be, because this is life and death. It's not a joke. I'll admit it, I've been the person standing there going, I want to jump out the window. I'm done. I can't handle it anymore, and nobody could blame me. But it takes a lot to be able to get through that next moment, to hold on to that moment and go, just one more breath. I can do this. I can get through this. When you're in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you never know a moment's peace, you will get pushed to that edge. And when you have legislators in Concord or in Boston, Massachusetts, is trying to dictate how a doctor should care and how a doctor shouldn't care, how you shouldn't have access to pain care. Better to let you die. Better to let you suffer. Better to let you become so decrepit you end up in a nursing home and lose everything you ever had, because you can't even take care of yourself anymore.
Yeah.
This is real, and it's horrible. And maybe I sound a little too aggressive about it, but I've lost one too many friends to suicide. And I'm tired of it, and I don't want to lose any more, and I don't want to be the next one. And I can't tell you from one day to the next if I'm going to never have that feeling again. I'm not going to sit here and say I'll never have that feeling again, because I'm not stupid enough to think so. I know it's possible. That's why it's important to talk about it and have people around you to talk about it.
Yeah.
But this is reality, folks. And if we don't step up and say something, if we don't come out to Boston and support these rallies and support the pain patients out there, well, you know what? Do me a favor as a pain patient. Don't show up at my funeral. I don't want your time at my funeral. Show up for me now while I'm alive, and I need you. I need you to help fight for me. Don't show up when I'm dead and buried and cry and tell my kid you feel bad.
Right.
He doesn't need you for that.
Do we have any numbers, by the way, on suicide, on patients pain patients who've
In my community of RSD patients, the statistic that I have heard is that 70% of RSD patients will at least consider, if not try, suicide. Because that's how bad the disease is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad. As far as the pain community at large, I don't think anybody's going to handle on that number, but I think it's a lot higher than people think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people have established that suicide rates are definitely increasing, but they haven't been able to get to the level of detail to understand that those are pain patients or not,
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, Jenny. It is a reality. I mean, I literally had a gentleman who I communicated with his wife often. He was a pain patient. He was not the type to be on social media, though, or anything like that. So I used to communicate with her. And one day, just out of the blue, I get a message from her on Facebook telling me that her husband committed suicide. He had worked his whole life, was on a very low dose regimen of opioid pain medication, was still working. They had still had 2 young kids, fairly young kids, at home anyway, paying his mortgage, paying taxes, all of that, and ended up having to leave work because his pain medication was cut off.
That's what happened to my mom, yeah.
Yep. And then 7 months afterwards, so he had gone through a tapering process and then finally off the medication. And then about 3.5 months of dealing with no pain medication at all.
God.
And finally left one day, went down to the park where him and his wife used to go when they were younger, pulled out a gun and blew his head off. So, I mean, now I didn't know him, but I had communicated with his wife quite often. And to hear her tell me that, this was 2 days after he did it.
Yeah.
It's just chilling. It's chilling.
Oh, yeah. It's heartbreaking. So, wow. No, that's really terrible. Well, we got to take a break. I need to refill.
Before we do, though, real quick, before we take a break, just for anybody out there who's listening, if you're in need, if you're having any kind of a problem, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's out there for you 24 hours a day. It's 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. If you feel like you're alone, you're not. Please call. It's confidential. It's free, and they will help you get through this moment.
Yeah, excellent.
And I just want to admit, I'm going to have to head out.
Oh, okay, Bill. Yeah.
Sorry to have to leave so soon, but
no.
To stay longer.
You've been very generous with your time. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Oh no, I appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier when we weren't on the air, you're I'll just call it a rant. I don't know what else to call it. But you're about 22 minutes or so of going on about this issue. That's been shared across the country so many times among social medias. People just love that. That was gold for them.
Oh, good.
So we appreciate all your promoting of the rallies.
How do people get more information again on the rally? Where do they go for a web information?
You can go to the website is don'tpunishpainrally.com. You can go to Facebook in New Hampshire. You can go to New Hampshire Don't Punish Pain Rally Group, or Don't Punish Pain NAT, NAT period. Don't Punish Pain Rally NAT is the national organization.
But that might be moving back to Concord.
Yes. So I just posted today to try to take a poll to see how many people would come out to Concord as opposed to going to Boston.
Yeah.
So within, I would say 2 days, I should know, and I'll get that back to you so you'll know exactly where the rally's taking place.
Wonderful.
Sorry for all the confusion.
No, that's okay. And Jenny, I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but the reason that's happening is it sounds like the legislation that was being proposed in Massachusetts that we talked about is hopefully DOA.
Right.
So this,
I hope so.
There was a prominent pain management physician who talked to Rep. Peter Capano, who was behind the bill. And he got him to understand. So he was promoting that bill or proposing that bill because of a constituent who called and, talked to him about her daughter, I believe it was, who passed away from an overdose. So he just thought that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better. So this doctor talked with him and explained both sides of the issues. So we backed off. And somehow, again, I don't understand the process, but he put it into committee and apparently has backed off promoting it. So he called the physician back and said it's basically dead in committee.
Massachusetts has ways of being able to kill a bill and have it never see the light of day for a vote. And the difference of that is for New Hampshire, for our New Hampshire listeners and people here in New Hampshire, every single bill gets a vote. If it gets a drafted legislation is just that, but once it's actually got a bill number and it's been introduced, it has to have a vote by the full body it was introduced into, whether it was the Senate or the House. It doesn't have to go beyond that. But it does have to come out of the committee. It does have to go to the full body for the vote. In Massachusetts, they can actually kind of pocket. It's kind of like a tabling or pocketing veto, where they just kind of hang on to things and let it collect must and dole, and they never let it go for a full vote. So I believe that sounds like what they're doing. At least I hope so. But the danger of that is it exists.
Right.
The idea exists, and all it takes is one bureaucratic idiot to go, oh, let's do this. So you have to stay vigilant, and you have to pay attention to the Don't Punish Rally people and pay attention to these other groups that are getting the information out there, or they'll slip something through this.
Oh, absolutely. And fortunately, the founder of the Don't Punish Pain Rally organization, Claudia Morandi, she's the one running the Massachusetts rally.
Okay.
So she's from Rhode Island, but her and her sister are running the rally in Massachusetts as well. So they're looking at both states.
Okay.
So she's about as aggressive as anyone you would ever want anyone to be relative to this issue. she's the one you want watching that state for sure.
And Rhonda says Michael Shatman
Yes,
spoke to him.
Dr. Michael Shatman. He was
a doctor,
the physician I was
Oh,
referring
he's the
to.
physician. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
I forget, all I know is he was in the practice of pain management
Okay.
for many years. Now he's I think he's semi-retired. He does more lectures and, speaking engagements, and but he's extremely actively involved in this issue.
Yeah.
He's not, I would want to caution, in case he's listening at all, he's not he defines himself not being pro-opioid. He defines himself as being pro-patient.
Sure.
So if the best thing for the patient is an opioid pain medication or whatever the pain treatment is, that's what he promotes.
Okay.
So he's totally against PROP that I mentioned earlier, Andrew Kolodny, who's the psychiatrist who, for some reason, is involved in fighting against opioid treatment, using it as a treatment. He's totally against that organization, speaks against them all the time, offers to debate with them all the time, which they never accept him on that.
Huh.
So he's the one that talked to Peter Capano and got him to back off of that bill.
Okay. Oh, great.
He's a great advocate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Bill, I know you got to run. Is there anything else you want us to know about, or anything online?
I think that's it. I'll make sure I get back to you about the location change.
Yeah, wonderful. Because if it's in Concord, then we'll definitely be able to do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm hoping that we can move it back here.
Yeah. That'll be great.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Oh, Bill Murphy, thank you so much, my friend. It's wonderful to see you, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. No, we appreciate.
Jenny, you as well. This was
Oh,
awesome.
anytime.
Listen, this was awesome. This was awesome.
Oh, I knew you were coming in, so I kind of planned to be here.
Good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got my support, buddy, in personal and in public.
Same here. Always.
Always.
Excellent. And you're welcome here anytime, Bill. So thank you. And
Thank you.
From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. But let's see. So we do have some stunning news. As you, I think you're aware, Jenny, our president, Donald John Trump, the most godly of presidents in the history of presidents, he and part of why he was chosen, of course. Well, I don't know if he was chosen because he's so godly.
Chosen by God.
Yes, he was anointed by God, as we all know.
Hallelujah.
Yes, I mean that's I think that's indisputable. But apparently there may be finally a schism. Well, because Republicans
With
are very
the Trumpkins?
Republicans. Well, specifically with God. Yes.
Did God tell you, or did God tell somebody else?
God doesn't speak to me. Oh, hello to Rocky Huber and Mike Pelopita, who join us in the Facebook live chat. Yeah, God and I don't really talk much.
Are you on the outs? Are you on the bad boy list?
To be honest with you, I don't think he's ever really had much time for me.
No. How did he? You mean she?
Well, how dare you?
Hey,
That's,
how dare you?
That's, so you're going to be in trouble with God. Now, no, we all know God is a wealthy white American male.
Who's
clearly.
we?
Well, we
A
like
mouse in your pocket?
all of us. The rest of us who aren't
us?
who
Who's
aren't
us?
who the rest of us who aren't you.
Who aren't me?
Yes.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, because you're questioning.
What about me makes me different?
Well, because you're talking about God being a she instead of a he.
Because she is.
That's crazy talk. Anyway, apparently Trump might be on the outs with God now over this whole Syria thing, because Trump wants us to pull out of Syria, let Turkey kind of take control there, which I have mixed feelings about. But apparently Pat Robertson is so upset with Trump over this.
This gets to Pat Robertson.
Pat Robertson says that Trump, because of this, may actually lose the mandate of heaven. What happens then? What if Trump loses the mandate of heaven? Then we have to impeach him, right? Because he'll no longer be God's chosen one. I don't know about that.
Basta!
I don't think you. Yes, I don't think you just. I don't think you just lose. I don't think you lose the mandate of heaven and just become Satan.
Oh, yes.
No,
Yes, you do.
No, it'll still be. I'm
Satan
sure,
was supposed to be an angel. He lost a mandate, became Satan. There you go.
Well, I don't. Well, I suppose. I'll play the audio of this. This is shocking. This is Pat Robertson discussing this, and he is, of course, one of God's representatives. Let's hear what Pat has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say right now, I am absolutely appalled that the United States is going to betray those democratic forces in northern Syria, that we possibly going to allow the Turkish to come in against the Kurds. That Erdogan is a thug. He has taken control of his country as a dictator. He is a strong leader, and to say he's an ally of America is nonsense. He is in for himself. And the president who allowed Khashoggi to be cut in pieces without any repercussions whatsoever is now allowing the Christians and the Kurds to be massacred by the Turks. And I believe, and I want to say this with great solemnity, the President of the United States is in danger of losing the mandate of heaven if he permits this to happen.
By the way, I don't know if I ever told you this, but in high school,
he's going to go to hell.
Some friends and I had a Christian rock band called Mandate of Heaven.
How'd that go for you?
Not well. We never made it out of the garage or the church. But Trump is in danger of losing the mandate of heaven. Can you believe it?
I suppose the man upstairs told that to their old Pat himself.
Now, of course, if Mike Pence becomes president, he will be able to pick up the mandate of heaven.
Oh, yes, because it will land right on the White House.
I will say this. I have to compliment Pat Robertson on one thing. Good for him. This surprised me, actually. Good for him for, regardless of how, I have mixed feelings about the Syria issue. But good for him. Good for Pat Robertson for calling out Trump on Khashoggi. That, I respect that.
I'm just surprised that he finally hit something that would get Pat Robertson to say something negative in the first place. I mean, he didn't seem to have a problem with grabbing women in fun places.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of that in the Bible. So, Reverend Pat, he's okay with some of that. That's just, the boys being the boys.
Say something, but I'd probably upset your listeners.
Well, I don't know how you could upset them any more than I probably already do. But yeah. So, but good on Pat. Respect Pat Robertson for for hitting him on Khashoggi at least. And by the way, the grand anomaly about Pat Robertson, we've talked about it on the show. I still find this remarkable that of all people who operate in that space that he does, Pat Robertson is not a creationist. He believes in evolution. He's like the last dude you would expect.
And he believes in the sanctity of the family.
Yes, he does.
Which is why he supports a president who's been married and divorced 3 times and is known for his affairs outside of wedlock and has been on TV grabbing this, that, and the other thing of women. Yeah, there's your family values right there.
Well,
amen.
Well, now, to be fair,
please,
we all know, and again, as I say we, I mean those of us who understand that Trump was anointed by God, we all know how that works. It's been explained to us many times by Pat. And
whatever
others,
God anointed that, will you all just take it and chuck it off the flat earth or something?
It's
Push
God.
It off the edge?
God chose an imperfect man for the job because that's what he does. He chooses an imperfect man.
A sexist, megalomaniac, narcissistic nut job. I'm sorry. I don't want the president of the United States swearing on Twitter anymore. And he's getting worse.
He said ass the other day about Mitt Romney.
Today was worse.
Today?
Yeah, earlier today he said something. He said total cuss word.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it something you can't say on the air?
Yep.
What letter does it start with?
I can't remember exactly.
Did he really did that?
He really did that. I was watching one of the news briefs on YouTube. You can get like MSNBC, CNBC, and Fox. All of them. Their latest breaking news gets posted like pretty much right away. And there's been like 5 different ones within an hour this morning that was between like 9 and 12.
Yes,
Eastern time.
A tweet storm.
Yeah,
that's
so
called.
there was one at 10, but there was another one at 11, and he swore at somebody. I wish my foggy brain wasn't totally my chemo brain is totally kicking in right now. So I'm sorry that I can't exactly give you more, but I know that today he ramped it up even more and used language that reporters found themselves going, ordinarily, we wouldn't use this language, but it is the president, and this is what the president said.
Oh, my goodness.
So, you get reporters out there like struggling to be all pro and everything, and this is language they'd never use, but they have to because, hey, you can't misquote the president of the United States. So, we're now in the locker room. His tweets are, if they weren't locker roomish enough, they went there even worse within the last 24 to 48 hours.
Uh-oh, hold on. Apparently this has upset Mitt Romney. We're getting an alert. Hold on.
Attention. This is an alert from the Mitt Romney outrage system. The Mitt Romney outrage level has been elevated from troubling to appalling. When the Mitt Romney outrage level is at appalling, take special care in public places when doing normal everyday tasks, such as operating your car elevator or grooming your dressage horse. However, it is important that in a Mitt Romney appalling state of outrage, you continue to go about your business of supporting every Donald Trump policy. Otherwise, the terrorists win. This change in Mitt Romney outrage status is more severe than last month's change from bothersome to disconcerting, but not as alarming as in 2018 when the system went from upsetting to unpleasant. This has been an alert from the Mitt Romney outrage system. We now return to the regularly scheduled programming of 101 Strings performing the greatest hits of the Ramones.
Wow, so even Mittens is upset. This is terrible.
Where'd you find that one?
What?
What?
Oh, that's
what?
that's from one of my favorite YouTubers, Rocky Mountain Mike.
I should have guessed that one.
The Mitt Romney outrage
I should have guessed
system.
that
Yes,
one.
it's terrible. It's a calamity, I'll tell you. Wow. So, and he knows that, he's a religious man himself. He's a Mormon, and they're not crazy.
He's a politician, and in my world, I don't care what religion you are, all politicians are crazy.
I'll say this. The man has great hair. He should have been president, but
He's got better skin than the current president. I mean, at least it's more normal colored.
that is true, yes.
Although we do have the perfect president for October.
Well,
I just realized
that also is true, yes.
I didn't know that. I just realized it.
Very true, yes.
We have the pumpkin-esque Trumpian.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
you think that if we put little lights into his sleeves or something, he'd walk around with them, put glow sticks on him?
I don't think he would.
Make him a Trump-a-lankin?
He doesn't have he's got other fish to fry these days with the whole impeachment and whatnot. Yeah, he did once on Twitter. He does swear once in a while. I remember at one point he came up with just an oh so clever way of spelling Adam Schiff's last name. And but I think he ended up deleting that tweet. I think that was frowned upon. But he does have this move on Syria does have everyone, all these Republicans, of all the things that may actually cause a schism between Trump and the rest of the Republican Party, it may in fact be this. They are shook. He's got them shook, as I believe the young people say now. They're all shook, and they're getting in his grill about it. I think they say that too.
Doesn't that mean getting into your face?
Yeah. They're all up in his grill because they're shook. Everybody except, of course, Rand Paul, who is very anti-war, who does favor pulling out of Syria. Now, I generally, by the way, have also favored getting out of Syria, as I am also very anti-war. However, it is an interesting point. I am a bit conflicted. It is complicated because these Republicans who are upset and Democrats who are upset as well, and people who operate in the realm of national security and all of this, everyone is upset except for Rand Paul because the problem is, and this is where it gets a little complicated, and it is a valid point. So we leave and Turkey comes in. Apparently that's now Turkey is one of our NATO allies, to be fair. But what Pat Robertson said about Erdogan is also completely fair, that he's a thug and a criminal. But But maybe that's why Trump gets along with him. He tends to get along with thugs and criminals better than he does with our close allies. But it is a problem because it won't be the first time we've abandoned the Kurds, certainly.
Yeah.
But we're kind of we're kind of hanging them out to dry if we leave in this manner. So there are some problems with it.
We're putting Russia in a good position.
Well, that's one of the problems with it. Yes,
I mean, that's our goal, right?
This may be a gift. In fact, it's largely considered a gift to the Russians. It actually says here, this is from Politico, Congress pressures Trump to back down on Syria betrayal. They're actually using that word, betrayal. But let's grab this call, probably the one call we'll have time for before we have to wrap up. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Matt, what's happening? This is Tony.
Hey, Tony, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Good. Hey, listen, I'm hearing you talking about the Turks and all that, Kurds
Yes.
and whatever they are.
Yes.
My thing is this, okay, people need to grow up, and it's time for them to take care of themselves. They were trained by our U.S. military. They're good to go. Saudi Arabia and the rest of those clowns over there in the Middle East can step up.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for the U.S. to pull out and take care of home. It's that simple.
No, I don't disagree. As someone who's very anti-war, I mean, one of the things that I've given Trump credit for.
Well, I'm not anti-war. I'm not anti-war because I was in the military.
Yeah.
And, I'm not against, I don't want to say that I'm for killing people, but there's certain things they need to step up. And people can
Sure.
say they're anti-war or whatever, but you lock your door at night, so I don't want to hear about that. Because nobody, if not, you're not into defending yourself.
Well, and I don't want to,
You know what I mean?
I don't want to be, I don't want to be misunderstood either, Tony. When I say I'm anti-war, I don't mean that I'm certainly not a pacifist by any means.
Because if you become, then guess what happens? You become a slave to somebody.
Sure.
So you don't want that to happen either.
Right.
Does it bother you at all, though, that we're not just pulling out? Trump is encouraging and supportive of Turkey going forward with an armed fight.
Yeah.
He's supporting.
Yeah, they need to learn how to defend themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to defend yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
You mean you're talking about the Kurds? The Kurds need to defend themselves against, because the Turks are going to go in there and
defend themselves. There's nothing wrong with defending yourself. What's wrong with that?
No, I don't mean that. I mean that Trump has literally come out and said that, given the green light to Turkey to attack the Kurds.
Well, that's part of the plan. Yeah, the Turks move in. I think what Trump thinks, though, is he's saying the Turks aren't going to just come in and clean out the Kurds. That's what Trump does not want to happen. But it seems like every other Republican, except for Rand Paul, doesn't believe that the Turks won't do that because they don't trust Erdogan, which I think is...
You got to understand something. Listen, the whole Middle East is a third world country to a certain extent. And listen, it's really unfortunate, but we can't play the security for everybody. There's certain things that we need to do
agreed.
in this country and take care of our home, stuff like that. And listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we got to go around, doing this and doing that, but we have to be able to protect our own interests. And it's not in our best interest to be over there right now. I mean, we did our thing. We trained them. Now it's time for them to step up and defend themselves. And that's what I think Trump is saying. Basically, like, our boys are pulling out. You guys got it from here. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's
he is, but he isn't.
I mean, what's wrong with that?
He is, but he isn't. I mean, his post today, one of his many tweets today, he flat out said that, Turkey can do what it wants, but in his quote, let me say this directly, in my great and unmatched wisdom, if Turkey does anything that I consider to be off limits, I will totally destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey. I've done it before. They must, with Europe and others, watch over.
It is an odd thing to say. He's going to obliterate their economy. I'm not sure how
He's
that
done it before.
Whatever that, presidents have been critiqued since the time of century. Whatever. I mean, I get what you're saying, but who cares?
I didn't say it. He did.
Who cares?
I care. Trump said it.
Defend themselves. American people The Americans are just tired of always defending somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Have allies,
I agree with you there. We
dealt with
shouldn't
those
be the world's
allies and
police.
stuff like that before. Unless you guys dealt with them directly on a military operation. I dealt with these guys before.
Yeah.
They want peace too, but it's time for them to step up and do it themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody's a big boy and time to step up, or whatever the hell gender they want to call themselves.
No, I think
you'll find out real quick when somebody's trying to point a weapon at you.
I think we're basically in agreement. I'm a little bit conflicted, but, you know, as a non-interventionist, and maybe that's what I should say instead of anti-war, but, you know, I'd rather we get out of there. I just, I do understand the concern about, you know, kind of turning our backs on the Kurds, but hopefully, I mean, Turkey is a NATO ally, so hopefully...
like I said, there's Saudi Arabia and all those other people that can help out. We're not the only ones that can help out in the world.
That is true.
Right? Wouldn't you agree? How come Iran doesn't help them out? How come Iraq doesn't help that? What's the problem? Why does the United States always have to help people?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. No, well,
Iran is with Turkey.
Yeah, Iran
and Turkey and Russia are all friends. And Syria is actually, aligned more with us. So all we're doing is empowering the allies of Iran.
Yeah, maybe to a certain extent, but can I just tell you something? I don't trust anybody. How about that? I don't trust anybody.
I'm right there with
what's
you,
wrong
buddy.
with that? Is that offensive to somebody that I don't trust?
That's not
someone? I don't care, because you know what? I care about Americans, to be honest with you. That's what I care about, America and Americans' interests. Not to say that I don't care about anybody in the world. It's just,
of course,
you have to look out for your best interests first. You got to take care of home first.
Yeah.
That's simple.
No, I think
Nothing
we're
wrong with that. Are we all in agreement to that?
No, I think we're in agreement there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's been a big part of my problem with our foreign policy when we go and invade these countries. So, no, I think we're in agreement. All right, Tony. Well, we're almost out of show, but thank you so much for the call.
You got it, buddy. Take care and stay American.
All right, man. You too. Bye-bye. Take care and stay American. That's good advice. I don't think I have a choice, actually. I don't think I can.
Well, I don't know if they changed the laws on when you were born and stuff. I mean,
Well, I could.
I guess we could be un-American.
I could move to Canada and apply for citizenship, but that wouldn't be. Well, I could denounce my American citizenship, I guess, but I have no desire to.
I don't have a desire for that. I like being an American.
But Ted Cruz, he's such an American. He denounced his Canadian citizenship, or renounced it, I should say. But anyway, no, but we are out of time. So thank you, Tony, for the call. And we'll probably talk more about this tomorrow, because it is complicated. Like I said, I'm basically in agreement, but but I have concerns. I do have concerns. From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Easy G.
Easy G. I don't have your theme music ready because I have to reboot this computer. It's not quite done. I'll play it.
We can do without it. No biggie.
I'll play it at the end of your conversation of our conversation.
Right.
By then, it should be ready.
Hey, remember when I was in the studio? When I was in the studio on Wednesday, joking around about that lady that comes in the morning show, Priscilla Mills.
Yes.
Yeah, our Facebook friends with her now.
Ooh. Well, I heard.
She sent me a Facebook message. She sent me a Facebook request.
I think she's sweet on you, EZG. Let's not bury the lead. I also heard on the morning show, I heard someone make a suggestion that you. Oh, I remember who it was. It was God. His voice.
Gonzo.
His voice sounded. No, he said he was God. Now his voice did sound different than when God called my show. Maybe God sounds different in different parts of the day.
That was him too.
So I heard God call and say that you need to ask Priscilla out on a date. Have you confirmed that she is in fact single?
I think she is. I haven't seen her in person with any rings on her finger. So
you've never met her in person?
Post doesn't say, her Facebook.
What, EZG? You're cutting out. What'd you say?
I said her Facebook post doesn't say she's married.
Wow.
Well, anyways, I gave her a Facebook message and I told her that's real funny on the radio.
Oh,
And,
good. That's
she
a
said,
good.
Thank you. And I said I look forward to
That's a
meeting you
good
on the
start.
show sometime.
That's a good start. Yep. And then see how she reacts. Maybe she'll if she reacts a little flirty, then you're in like Flynn. Just don't let Michael Martineau C block you, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I saw her on her Facebook page giving a hug to Ryan Gorman.
Oh, were you jealous?
No.
Do you feel that Ryan Gorman is trying to C block you, if you know what I mean?
I think he already has a girlfriend, so.
Oh, that's
He was
true.
Just giving her a Ryan Gorman hug.
That is true. I've met Ryan Gorman's girlfriend.
I got one the other day outside.
She's lovely.
It wasn't very nice. It was a cigarette Ryan Gorman hug. Oh.
From who?
Ryan Gorman.
Oh, Ryan Gorman gave you a hug while holding a cigarette?
Yeah, it was kind of hug.
Well, you can't be picky about these things, EZG. A hug is a hug. Did he give you like a full body? Was it a bro hug or was it like a full body embrace?
One of those TV hugs.
One of those what?
Where you just gotta fake it.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, you see on TV, I call it a TV hug, where they just kind of give you a hug on the TV. They don't really mean it. It's TV.
Oh, so you feel he was acting. Now,
right.
Now Priscilla is an actor. We don't say actress anymore. That's considered sexist now, EZG. I don't know if you know that.
Right, that's what he's trying to do, yeah.
But Priscilla is an actor. So are you at all concerned that eventually, if you and she embrace, that she will in fact be acting and will not be sincere?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know, but you're
know.
dying to find out, aren't you, EZG? Yeah.
I would like to meet her. We'll see what happens.
I'm sure you would. You got some game? You got game?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you have been married, so obviously your ex-wife thought so.
Yeah, that was years ago. Yeah.
That was years ago. You never lose your game, EZG. Actually, that's not true at all. Your game, quote unquote, is very much a use and disuse type thing. But even if you have lost it, I'm sure you can get it back. Perhaps you should watch some romantic comedies.
It's always fun to meet somebody new.
Yes. Yes, EZG. Right. And you've been alone a long time, correct?
This is true.
How long? How long? How long has it been? How long since your divorce?
Over 10 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you're ready. You're ready to party.
You never know.
Oh, I think I do. I think I do know, EZG. I hear that mischievous laugh. What was it? What was it that happened on the morning show this morning? It was the hardest I've ever heard you laugh. There was something that happened that had you.
It's funny because he was talking about some. I said, "What any prizes to winning the Mets game?"
Oh,
he said, "Yeah, I just found them the 2017 Taste of Downtown tickets."
Oh yes, that gave
when
you.
I called up on the radio years ago, and I said, it's 10 hours to the taste. You know, my free ticket for Rhonda. And he said, "Well, I'm not really in the mood. His grandmother had just died."
Whose grandmother just died?
Peter's. That was 2 years ago.
Oh, right. Okay, I remember now. Yes.
That was the first time I said egg on my face. He goes, "Listen, you don't have egg on your face. We'll take care of you here at the station."
Right.
You got it, buddy?
Yeah, he got a little aggressive with you.
I made a real jerk of myself, in other words.
I think I have that. I think I have it here.
Always looking for free stuff.
What? Oh, is this it? I think I have it, EZG. Here, I'll play it real quick. Yeah, here we go.
Take this call, just because they keep calling. so good morning.
Oh, hello, guys.
Hi, Eric.
Hey, it's 10 hours to the taste, and I still don't have my ticket for Rhonda.
You know what? I'm really not in the mood for that today, Eric, so I'm going to tell you what. You already have a ticket, so I'm sorry I didn't get the ticket. If I get another one, come see me tonight. But, you already have a ticket. There's other people out there like like Terry Trainer that doesn't have a ticket.
I don't have a ticket.
No, I didn't say. I said I would try. I said
egg on my face.
I'm going to tell you. You don't have egg on your face. I'm going to tell you what. You should be grateful that you have one ticket. All right, kid. Do you understand me? You're calling for free stuff. We take care of you all the time. I tried to get the ticket. I couldn't do it. I've been very busy. So don't worry about you having egg on your face, Eric. That's being a little selfish. You hear what I'm saying, man?
Oh.
You hear what I'm saying? See you tonight at the Taste of Downtown, my friend.
Wow. Whoa.
No, you know what? The guy calls up for free stuff. You know, we take care of him. We take care of him.
Does he have a ticket already?
He already has a ticket.
I don't have a ticket.
He wants a ticket for someone that may go with him. And I told him I would try to get him a ticket. And now he's upset and says he has egg on his face. Well,
there you go. Easy G, that was the beginning of the egg on your face.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I felt really bad, but then I made up for it. I went to the wake of his grandmother, so I made up for it.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I don't go to wakes. I think looking at dead people is strange, but no, that was great of you. Yeah, see, look at you. You go to.
That was funny too because Joel obviously went too because of the which right thing to do, and he ended up going to the wrong wake.
I remember that.
Looking around, he said, "Boy, I don't look anybody familiar."
I remember that.
Stumbled into the right one.
Yes,
that's Joel for you.
Yes, that's why I personally I like to avoid any kind of funerals or wakes because if you show up at the wrong one, it's just embarrassing, and then you truly do have egg on your face. But you didn't literally have egg on your face. It was more you were using it as a figure of speech, right? Like you didn't like stick your face in an omelet or something.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify.
That's all I got for information today. So I'll let you go and clear the lines up in case Father Bruno wants to call.
Oh, yes, and here, I'll play you out with your theme music. Thanks, Easy G. All right. Easy G, and this is Easy G's, what is that? Okay, this is Easy G's new theme music that he requested.
While I've got the move, that really move. I said chill, up and down their spine. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy.
There you go. Easy G, the other day when he was here, he requested some new theme music. And, because the John Cena, My Time Is Now, had just gotten played out. I used to say, it's Easy G and his time is now. But now it's more like it's Easy G and he's just a sexy boy. He's not your boy toy. But, clearly love is in the air, and I think that's wonderful. I think he and Priscilla will make a lovely couple. It's just, I'll tell you, it does the heart good. Young lover, well, Easy G's very old, but, so never mind young lovers, but probably be kind of a May-December romance, I'm guessing. But whatever it is, I just think it's wonderful. And God did call the morning show this morning and try to tell Easy G he should ask Priscilla out, which is, that can be hard. I'll tell you what, us shy guys, I'm very shy myself, by the way. You probably wouldn't know it listening to this show, but I am an introvert. And introverts by nature, we tend to be kind of, we can be shy and quiet and whatnot, unless we're in some sort of performance situation like this. It's not unusual for an introvert to be kind of a quiet guy or woman, right? But then, as soon as we're in front of a microphone, or in my case, in front of a microphone or on a stage or in front of a television camera or whatever it may be, that's where we're actually the most comfortable. Where we're the least comfortable is actually interacting with other humans, just out in the world on an interpersonal basis. That can be terrifying. But anyway, so there you go. Easy G's new theme music, and it sounds like he is trying to, it's been 10 years, so he's not, he's wading into the pool, shall we say. Good for him. From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed. By the way, there's some breaking news. I am rather shocked to hear this, but this is from my favorite website, rightwingwatch.org. According to Jim Baker, we all remember Jim Baker, right? You know, he wore the very colorful sweaters in the 80s. And, of course, today he continues to have his program, he and his lovely wife, Lori, and they sell their they sell the Jim Baker food buckets, you know, so when the rapture happens, you know, you got to have
I got it.
You got to have your food buckets.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Mike Pelopita says you better knock on wood, Matt. Yes, indeed. You know, which I don't quite understand the marketing, because it seems to me if you're going to be swept up in the rapture, you don't need the food buckets.
Right. No, you don't.
So you're actually outside of the very audience that he's marketing to.
Yeah.
But he knows what he's doing, I guess, because he's very rich, which is important. God wants us to be rich. According to Jim Baker, right?
Monetarily?
Yes, abundance.
Really?
It's called. Yes, prosperity gospel. It's the new thing. Yeah.
I think it passed me by.
It passed a lot of us by. We're probably all going to hell because we're not rich.
You got that right.
Yes. Well, apparently Jim Baker says, and I'm not aware of this, and I'll be interested to see if he has some proof of this, but he claims that the left is under massive demon possession.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if he means like the far left or the entire left or all
Everything
Democrats
left
or whatever.
of center.
I guess. This is terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, he said today on the Jim Baker show, he said, I want to tell you people today, America has gone crazy. I believe much of politics today, especially those who have gone out on an extreme, I'll say left, they are way left. I believe there is a massive demon possession in the political realm today.
Oof.
Can you believe it?
Wow.
I mean, sort of.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it does make sense in one way, right? Because we know that obviously God is a conservative Republican.
Obviously.
You know, I often imagine. I mean, I'm not going to heaven, of course, because I'm pro-choice and pro-gay marriage. But I often imagine going to heaven, and you know, St. Peter leads me in for, you know, I'm sure you get some sort of intake meeting with the big guy, and
holding cell.
Yes, and then right, and then but then you get to go in and meet God in the office, and you know, I assume that he has like a big golden desk, and on the wall is a giant picture of Ronald Wilson Reagan and a giant American flag, and of course a cardboard cutout of President Trump,
Of course.
and you know, so it makes sense. I mean that the left then would be the opposite, you know, the party of Lucifer.
What a thing to say.
What?
You know, that's what I mean. You know, it's everything. You can say anything you want. You can blab any kind of foolishness you want.
Yes.
And people are going to eat it up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, for all those that can't distinguish right from wrong and good and evil, you know, those are the folks I'm worried about.
So you gentlemen are skeptical about the left being demon possessed.
Somewhat.
I mean, you've met.
I think every side is.
You've met several presidential candidates.
Yeah.
Did they strike you as demon possessed? Did you sense that any of them had been taken over by some sort of demonic entity?
Maybe a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You'd
who?
see in their eyes a little.
Like which ones? Because we want to know.
Yeah, we need to know.
We need to know this ahead of time.
Marianne Williamson.
She seems a little possessed.
Something.
Yeah, something's. She has.
She goes off on her tangents,
Right.
and you can kind of see it a little.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's probably been taken over by a demon, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't surprise me.
You, Ben Dion, are going on record today as saying on WMNH that Marianne Williamson is possessed by a demon.
I'm saying she could be.
She could be, right.
It wouldn't surprise me if that came out.
Right, which is really just a nice way of saying she is, obviously, right? I mean, yeah. Okay. Yes. I mean, I believe that's also called an attachment. They call that in the metaphysical world.
Would she be the host?
I believe so, yes. And she has an attachment that is controlling her words and actions.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I think I've seen some movies on this.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Did her head spin around
No.
when you talked to her?
No.
Okay, good.
It turned a lot.
Did it?
Yeah.
Right. Did she
It was trying to spin.
did she begin to spontaneously projectile vomit?
No.
Okay, good.
Any speaking in tongues?
She might have. At the convention, she had quite the following, too.
Really?
Yeah, she did have
Ooh.
quite the following.
They're probably all demons.
Yeah. And it's funny because someone that I was there with said they all looked very similar, like the similar type of person.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, And I looked back at the group of supporters that held signs, had shirts on and everything. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. They kind of do look all the same. Like same type of person.
Like they're from hell?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He could have been.
Right?
I don't know.
Most likely. I mean, I think we can assume.
She was the only candidate selling things too. I feel like most of the candidates, they had a table, but their stuff was like to take for free or if you signed up for something. But there could have been other ones, but I noticed for sure because she had a lot of stuff on her table, the shirts and hats and pins. Those were for sale. They weren't just to take.
They weren't freebies.
They were not freebies.
And where was this?
At the New Hampshire Democratic Convention at Snew Arena.
I'm reminded of the story in the Bible of Jesus entering the temple, and the money changers are selling things.
Yes,
and
they were.
Jesus gets very angry, and he starts flipping over the tables.
Yes, he did.
Maybe Jesus should have flipped over Marianne Williamson's table and confronted the demon.
Perhaps.
But where was Jesus?
He wasn't in there.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't at the convention.
He wasn't at the convention, but he was probably at a Trump rally.
Could it be?
I think we can safely assume that.
Which was at Snew Arena.
Trump, the godliest of presidents.
They just missed him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just for fun here, let's it's only about a minute. Let's listen to Jim Baker. I want to play the audio because I feel that you gentlemen are skeptical.
Okay.
So we'll hear him explain in his own words. Let's see if it'll play. This website sucks sometimes.
Your book,
Here we go.
Your book answers the questions I've been asking and about, here's the title, How to Keep Your Head on Straight in a World Gone Crazy.
Yes.
And I want to tell you people today, America has gone crazy.
Yes, it has.
And Rick, I don't know if you'll agree with me or not. I believe much of politics today, especially those that have gone out on an extreme, and I'll say left, they're way left, I believe there is a massive demon possession in the political realm today. Am I wrong?
I believe it's like hell found a voice.
Yes.
Say that.
Hell found a voice.
Yes.
And hell is speaking through the political system today and through the media.
Yes.
It is amazing.
It really
what's
is.
happening through the media. It's just wicked.
It is
what's
wicked.
taking place.
Wow. It's demonic.
It should not be permitted. It just should be. You know, I think about Jesus. Jesus told the demons to shut up.
Yes, he did.
And I thought, we need to take authority over all these voices and just command them to be still.
Amen. Yes.
Well, where was Jesus to tell Marianne Williamson to shut up? That's what I want to know.
Where was that?
Yeah, where
was
he
he speaking?
People were applauding over this?
That was just on his show.
Oh,
He hosts a television program called The Jim Baker Show.
What channel?
I don't know. I assume it's on, what's that? There's something like
a Catholic network or
EWTV, which I think is evangelical.
Oh, evangelical, right.
Evangelical What's-a-Who's-y television. Something like that. Wow. I think it's EWTV.
Oh, he had people applauding that.
Well, yeah, he's got a captive audience. But by the way, if you ever see his audience, they're all just really old people.
Really?
I can see that.
Yeah. They're just, they're at the end of the road and they're trying to get into heaven.
Any means necessary.
By any means. That's right. Yes, they're gonna buy some food buckets and
sneak in.
No, they're not gonna sneak in. They're going through the front door. I'm sure they're all very much opposed to gay marriage and very angry at immigrants and
all of that.
All of that. That's what gets you in.
Yep, because every person that's in heaven is white.
Well,
and straight.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks for pointing that out. I think we all kind of know that, Ben.
There's zero diversity up there.
Well, obviously. I mean, come on, it's heaven. Jeez.
I'm glad I could never actually talk to any of these people that think these things, because I don't think I'd be able to hold back. Like just hearing the clips, I can laugh. But
yeah.
If I actually met anyone like this,
yeah,
I don't know what I do. I really don't.
Yeah.
Well, therein lies the problem. There are people out there that are buying this insane message.
Right.
And it's, really. And they have to separate out reality from that.
Right.
But
Whatever
they
that
can't do
is.
that though. They can't.
No, they're incapable.
That's
They
the
are
thing.
incapable.
I don't think you'd be able to convince them otherwise.
No,
because
they're gone.
They've bought into this, whatever it is, and it's
whatever it is.
I don't know how you would. That's the thing. I don't know what I do because I don't think I could actually have the conversation. I'm good at having conversations with people I don't agree with.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Right.
I like to do that because I like to see other perspectives, but I don't think they would be able to handle having the conversation.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's just some people where it's like, yeah, it's already kind of a lost
You kind of
cause.
see it in their eyes.
It's in their eyes.
Right.
Like, yep, they're gone.
There it is.
They're gone.
We've already lost this one.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
That's
Well,
what I mean. There's so many things you need to sort out, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of folks that just incapable of sorting it out.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you want to shake them up and wake them up.
Right.
It ain't happening.
Yeah.
You know, there's perhaps a lost cause.
Yes.
I think of Matt. I've never seen the show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
I have. Yes.
So the episode he has with President Obama, it's pretty funny because Jerry asked the question like, is there any of these world leaders that you meet and talk to that you look at and you're like, oh yeah, they are gone.
Yeah.
They are crazy, and they're not. There's nothing there.
Right. Right.
And his answer was very simple. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't enumerate
Like
any
the
of them.
power and just
Yeah.
whatever it is, just and there's no going back.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about that, but
From the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, you are tuned in to the best of Matt Connarton Unleashed.
How red the country goes, deep in moronic episodes, creeping back 50 years or so. Look, Trump's a criminal. News isn't fake, he's a fool. Loans paid, banks Deutsche was his tool. What I want is impeachment now. Hey ho, Trump's gotta go. 'Cause Trump's a guff guy, cookie double stuff guy, a marshmallow fluff guy, just put him in cuffs guy. Trump's the bad type, calls everything sad type, not sure he can add type, had a Nazi dad type. Trump's the bad guy. Duh.